awareness has risen over the last 2 months, and so and education has increased, and so the message of exclusions from schools has gotten out. The reporting of cases is more regular and common. People are hearing it, and so it's more prevalent. There's the testing numbers are inconsistent across the country, depending on how a particular state chooses to do testing. In New Jersey and New York, there's very limited testing going on. Other states like Illinois, almost everybody's being tested. So the numbers that you see comparing states, it's not, you can't do that. You really can't. You don't know what those numbers really represent. New Jersey is only testing individuals who are hospitalized with flu-like symptoms, individuals who are identified as part of a cluster with flu-like symptoms, and then some limited sentinel testing, physicians that have been identified to do testing of individuals that meet certain guidelines. Even the cluster testing is limited. Now in Somerset County, we're doing virtually no testing because we've identified 5 clusters. Not yet in Middlesex County, but in Somerset County, we've confirmed 5 clusters throughout the county. So no cluster, and anyone involved in a cluster, unless they're hospitalized, won't be tested. So those reports of confirmed cases are going to go down. To confuse that, there are private labs, Quest Diagnostics in particular, who have developed a test for H1N1, who physicians are sending samples to, and we're getting a lot more every day from these from Quest and private labs that are testing for it and reporting H1N1 infection. Those tests and labs have not been validated by the CDC, so we can't use that to confirm H1N1, so they're being designated as probable. So if you go on the state's website and look at numbers, you'll see a number for confirmed cases, and that means they've been tested and positive by either the state or the CDC, and you'll see a number for probable. That number for probable could be those private labs. It could be samples that were taken, being tested by the state lab, but haven't yet been confirmed, but look like they're likely to be confirmed. So there's so many variables involved. The concern, and the reason I say I don't think it's being there's not overexposure, is that it's a new virus. We don't know what it's going to do. It appears to be highly communicable. It is impacting populations that are not normally impacted by seasonal flu. When typically we talk about seasonal flu, we talk about the elderly, the very young, and those with underlying conditions. This virus seems to be focusing on the 10 to 20, maybe 40, school age, middle age, those younger. And the deaths associated with the virus, about 75% have a link to underlying conditions. But there's that 25% that is killing healthy, young individuals. And nobody knows why yet. We don't know what it's going to do over the next 3 or 4 months. So that's a concern. How's it going to mutate or change? Is it going to become more virulent? Is it going to become less virulent? Is it going to disappear? We don't have answers to that. We don't have a vaccine for it. So vigilance is important. Awareness by the public is important. The comments about parents and kids not reporting their illness to the schools because they want to take their exams, or that's just it's really, really scary. This 15-year-old that died in Somerset County, died at home, I'm trying to remember what the report said, was at school on Friday, the 5th? The 5th? Is that the, and then came down with fever, cough, and vomiting on Saturday. Reports are that he started to feel better Saturday night and Sunday, and then the parents found him dead in the bed Monday morning. Not only is that unbelievably tragic, but if you think about the time span of Saturday morning to Monday and the impact of this virus, and as of right now they're doing an autopsy because of the conditions of the death, so they don't know, but no reported underlying conditions. If they don't identify an underlying condition, that's scary stuff. Really scary stuff.
Isn't also what's exacerbating the whole problem is that flu season hit really late. There's regular flu out
There is, but
A and B.
that has waned seriously. Almost all the flu that we're seeing now that's being tested. When they first started testing, they were getting a lot of H3N5 and a lot of H1N1. H3N5 was the primary type A seasonal flu,
Right.
and H1N1 is obviously the novel type A flu. About equal numbers when they first started testing of both of them. Seeing very little H3N5 now, almost all H1N1 when they test. So that season, it was late, but it's pretty much out of the picture. So what we're seeing right now, and right now that can change, tomorrow it can change, but
Do they think that the people who are having it now will be immune, possibly?
nobody knows. You know, with the novel strains, they can mutate so quickly. And that's what, you know, historically, that's what you see with pandemics. You see this, and here's another difference, actually. If you look at the history of the 1918 pandemic, it came out just like this one did, late spring, early summer. It had an impact, and it essentially disappeared. Well, this one's not disappearing yet. But then it mutated over that disappearance to some degree. And when it came back in the fall, it was much more virulent than it was when it originally showed itself. So there's a concern that that will happen again. And so actually that impacts the development of a vaccine. Is the vaccine going to be as effective on something that has changed over that time period? Don't know. And then, you know, what's the impact going to be?
It also has to do with the genetic makeup of the H1N1 because it's, you know, it's three species.
Yes.
It's human, swine, and avian.
Right.
And the relative virulence of that kind of flu can change very rapidly.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a real public health concern. It scares the hell out of me. People are going to school with this.
Yeah.
Well, we have a fair going on in Warren. It started yesterday, and it's all geared towards school-age children, elementary, middle, and high school kids, and this is where the outbreaks are. So, you know, luckily my kids are much older, but, you know, to think of all the stuff the kids touch on those rides, nobody cleans those rides. I mean, and they're in such tight spaces, so it only takes a few kids to be sick to infect a huge population, because you're bumping into